The world knew Xiao Zhan as an artist of many forms, a singer with a voice like a warm embrace, an actor who could command a scene with a single glance, and a painter whose serene landscapes and delicate florals were a balm to the soul. His paintings were coveted, each one a piece of his public persona, gentle, beautiful, and slightly distant. He had a new series of works, a collection of watercolor landscapes, on display at a prestigious gallery. The paintings, with their muted tones and ethereal quality, were an instant sensation. Fans flocked to the exhibition, not just to admire the art, but to feel closer to the man himself. They meticulously photographed every brushstroke, every detail, convinced that somewhere within the art lay a hidden piece of him. One particular painting, a breathtaking piece titled The Serene Shore, became the object of a collective obsession. It depicted a solitary boat drifting on a calm lake, surrounded by mist-covered mountains. The fans, with their magnifying glasses and high-resolution cameras, scoured every inch of the canvas. They were searching for a secret, a glimpse of the real man behind the public facade. They found nothing. The painting, a masterpiece of quiet beauty, seemed to be exactly what it was: a serene shore. But one fan, an artist herself, saw something different. She didn't look at the brushstrokes or the colors. She looked at the composition, the negative space, and the way the light hit the water. She was an expert in art history and composition, and she saw a truth that no one else could see. The mind-blowing scene began quietly, in the sterile silence of an art gallery. The fan, a young woman named Li Wei, stood before the serene shore, her head tilted, her brow furrowed in concentration. She wasn't just looking, she was analyzing. She saw that the gentle ripple of the water, a detail everyone else had overlooked, was not a natural occurrence. It was a pattern, a deliberate, intricate code. With a sense of a quiet, profound discovery, she pulled out a notepad and began to draw the pattern, transposing the ripples onto the paper. It was a long, painstaking process, but as the pattern began to take shape, she saw it, an elegant looping series of lines that didn't form a wave, but a stylized character, a beautiful, swirling bee. The revelation, when it came, didn't come with a loud, dramatic flourish. It came in a whisper. Li Wei's post on a private fan forum was simple, but it spoke 1,000 words. I think the ripples are a character. The character for boat in Chinese is chuan. But the character I see is bo, as in Wang Yibo. The internet, a seething ocean of speculation, didn't erupt in a frenzy of questions. It quieted into a collective, awed silence. The photo of the painting, now with the ripple pattern highlighted, went viral, not as a source of gossip, but as a masterpiece of profound, unspoken love. The world, which had thought of them as just a couple of friends, now saw them as something else entirely. It saw them as a single, unbreakable unit, a sanctuary in a world that was too loud. The climax arrived in a high-profile interview, a live broadcast that had 1,000,000 eyes on them. The host, a seasoned professional, knew the game. She steered the conversation through the usual pleasantries, the questions about their careers and their future. But then, she held up a large, clear print of the painting, with the now famous bee highlighted. The atmosphere in the studio changed instantly. The host, with a sly smile, looked at Xiao Zhan. The public believes this symbol is a testament to a very special bond, she said, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Could you tell us what it means to you? The cameras, focused on Xiao Zhan's face, didn't miss a beat. They expected a quick, practiced smile, a moment of polite deflection. The public, watching live, held its collective breath, anticipating the well-worn script. But what they got was something entirely different, something utterly mind-blowing. Xiao Zhan didn't answer. Instead, his eyes, with the unwavering focus of a homing beacon, found Wang Yibo, who was sitting just a few feet away, a quiet sentinel in the chaos. A silent, breathtaking torrent of communication, of memory, of love, passed between them. It wasn't a quick glance. It was a look. A look that said, "Are you ready? Do we do this now?" Wang Yibo's face, for a split second, was a portrait of 1,000,000 emotions: fear, love, pride, and a quiet, unblinking courage. He simply nodded, a slow, deliberate movement that only Xiao Zhan could have registered. Xiao Zhan turned back to the host, a slow, genuine smile spreading across his face. "This painting," he said, his voice a low, honest rumble, "is a reminder that even when a boat is far from shore, it's never truly lost. It always finds its way back to the one who is waiting. He then, in a slow, deliberate motion, in full view of the cameras, reached out and, with an effortless, graceful movement, placed his hand on Wang Yibo's back. This time, it wasn't a quick, secret touch. It was a public, profound confirmation. It was a silent, beautiful, and deeply personal act. The cameras, which had been trained on his face, quickly pivoted to capture the moment. It wasn't a performance. It was a public display of a private, intimate truth. It was a silent, beautiful confirmation that their love was not a script to be followed, but a reality to be lived. The host, a seasoned professional who had seen everything, was speechless. The crowd didn't erupt. They simply watched in a collective, stunned silence. The mind-blowing truth was that they had not just confirmed their love. They had just performed a piece of their real lives in front of the entire world. The line between their art and their reality had completely blurred, and in that moment, they didn't care. The final scene unfolded hours later, in the quiet sanctuary of their car. The world outside was celebrating their bravery, calling them courageous. Xiao Zhan was sitting next to Wang Yibo, who, despite the long night, looked more at peace than he ever had. "The public thinks you're brave for what you just did," Xiao Zhan murmured, his voice soft with emotion. "You just told the world that our love is real." Wang Yibo looked at him, and his rare, genuine smile touched his lips. "I didn't do it to be brave, Zhanji," he said, his voice low and confident. "I did it because I'm not afraid anymore. The painting was just a mirror. The real story is us. And the most powerful love stories are the ones that don't need a script." The final, breathtaking truth of their love story wasn't a grand, dramatic confession or a hidden symbol. It was the simple, beautiful fact that their love had become a source of peace, a quiet, unwavering force that had transformed their fear into courage. They had, in the end, not just revealed a secret. They had set themselves free. The silence in the car was a profound, peaceful thing, a sharp contrast to the thunderous applause and the blinding flashes of 100 cameras they had just left behind. The world had just witnessed their confession, a silent, breathtaking moment that had broken through the barrier of public life and revealed their truth. Xiao Zhan, sitting in the passenger seat, leaned his head against the cool glass of the window, his eyes closed. He was tired, but it was a good kind of tired, a peace that had been a long time coming. Beside him, Wang Yibo drove with a quiet, focused concentration, his face a study in a rare, unadulterated calm. The public had seen his brave gesture, but they had not seen the look in his eyes just moments after, a look that said, "It's done. We are free." The next mind-blowing scene wasn't on a stage or in front of a camera. It happened a week later, in the quiet, mundane reality of their home. Xiao Zhan was in the kitchen, making a simple, late-night meal. He was humming a quiet tune, his body language relaxed and unguarded in a way it hadn't been in years. Wang Yibo walked in, his phone in his hand, a small, genuine smile on his face. He walked over to Xiao Zhan and, without a word, simply wrapped his arms around him from behind, resting his chin on his shoulder. It was a simple gesture, one born of a decade of quiet intimacy, but it was the kind of thing they would have never done when the threat of being exposed hung over them. But the mind-blowing truth was that they were no longer alone. Their close friend, a director who had been a silent witness to their entire journey, had been standing in the doorway, a look of profound, heart-wrenching awe on his face. He had come to drop off some files but had stopped in his tracks, frozen by the sight before him. He saw it all, the quiet, unguarded love, the profound sense of peace. He saw a truth that was more beautiful and more real than any film he had ever directed. It wasn't a public spectacle. It was a quiet, domestic moment that, in its simplicity, was more powerful than any grand gesture. The director, a man of few words, didn't say anything. He simply turned and walked away, the files still in his hand, his heart full of a quiet, profound reverence. The public's discovery of their love had opened the door for their private world to be seen, not by a stranger, but by someone who truly mattered, and in that quiet, unspoken moment, their love was truly and completely validated. The final scene, a masterpiece of domesticity, unfolded a few days later. They were on a single, oversized beanbag, a simple, comfortable peace between them. Xiao Zhan, with a quiet, contented sigh, leaned his head against Wang Yibo's shoulder, his eyes closed. "The world has seen our story," he murmured, his voice soft with emotion. "I feel lighter." Wang Yibo didn't answer right away. He just tightened his arm around Xiao Zhan, a silent, powerful confirmation of his love. "The world didn't see our story, Zhan Ji," he finally said, his voice low and confident. "They saw a single chapter. The real story is here. It's in the quiet moments. It's in the fact that we can just be. We can just be happy." That is the final mind-blowing scene that no camera could ever capture. The final, breathtaking truth of their love story wasn't a grand, dramatic confession or a hidden symbol. It was the simple, beautiful fact that their love had become a source of peace, a quiet, unwavering force that had transformed their fear into courage. They had, in the end, not just revealed a secret. They had set themselves free. The video of Wang Yibo's abrupt departure from the King of the Night Gala had not only confirmed their love, but had also shattered the old rules. The world no longer saw them as a secret to be uncovered. They saw them as a testament to a quiet, unwavering truth. The public's collective silence and reverence after their confession had not been a fluke. It was a sign of a new reality. Their love, once a source of professional risk, had become a source of profound strength, and a major entertainment company, recognizing this shift, decided to make a bold, unprecedented move. They proposed a collaboration that, in the past, would have been an absolute impossibility. A full-length album and a series of short films, a shared project that would showcase their chemistry, not as actors, but as artists. The mind-blowing scene began quietly, in the sterile high-tech environment of a recording studio. In the past, they would have been guarded, professional, and entirely separate. But now, in this new reality, something different unfolded. As Wang Yibo laid down a complex, intricate beat for a new song, Xiao Zhan sat across from him, his face a study in effortless concentration. They didn't need to talk. They didn't need to discuss notes. Xiao Zhan would simply close his eyes, listening to the rhythm, and a small, quiet smile would touch his lips. He would then, without a word, lean in and begin to hum a melody, a perfect, beautiful counterpoint to the beat Wang Yibo was crafting. The sound engineer, a seasoned professional who had worked with the biggest names in the industry, was stunned into silence. He had never seen such seamless, unspoken, artistic synchronicity. They were not just two artists collaborating. They were two halves of a single, creative soul, communicating through a language only they understood. It was a silent, beautiful symphony of trust and love. The most mind-blowing scene of all unfolded during the first rehearsal for their joint live performance. The stage was empty, a vast, silent space where a single beam of light illuminated them both. They were not performing for an audience. They were performing for each other. Wang Yibo, a master of cool, controlled movements, was practicing a dance sequence, a powerful, intricate set of steps. But something was off. He was too tense, too rigid. He was focused on the technical perfection of the movements, and it showed. Xiao Zhan, watching from the side, didn't say anything. He didn't offer a single word of criticism. Instead, in a quiet, unscripted moment, he simply walked over and placed his hand on Wang Yibo's back, a gentle, solid, and reassuring presence. In that simple touch, the tension drained from Wang Yibo's body. He smiled a small, genuine smile, and then, with a newfound fluidity, he began the dance again. This time, his movements were not just powerful, they were graceful, effortless, and full of a quiet, emotional depth that had never been there before. The choreographers, the producers, and the directors who were watching were not just witnessing a perfect performance. They were witnessing a love story that was being told in the silent language of two bodies moving as one. The final scene, a masterpiece of quiet domesticity, unfolded in a simple, unguarded moment in their apartment, a world away from the noise and the cameras. They were sitting together, their phones quiet, their world a tranquil silence. They had seen the news reports. The reviews had been glowing. The collaboration had been a massive success, a commercial and critical masterpiece. They were being called brave, courageous, pioneers. The world was celebrating their public love. But their love, in the end, was never for the public. It was for them. Xiao Zhan, with a quiet, contented sigh, leaned his head against Wang Yibo's shoulder, his eyes closed. "The world thinks we're brave for what we just did," he murmured, his voice soft with emotion. "For putting our love into our art." Wang Yibo didn't answer right away. He just tightened his arm around Xiao Zhan, a silent, powerful confirmation of his love. "The world didn't see our love, Zhan Ji," he finally said, his voice low and confident. "They saw our art. But the art was just a mirror. The real bravery was never for them. It was for us. The final, breathtaking truth of their love story wasn't a grand, dramatic confession or a hidden symbol. It was the simple, beautiful fact that their love had become a source of peace, a quiet, unwavering force that had transformed their fear into courage. They had, in the end, not just revealed a secret. They had set themselves free.